afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in again today. This is your host, Tessa Borile from the Development Academy of the Philippines. Welcome to the Public Sector Productivity Webinars organized by the Center of Excellence on Public Sector Productivity of the Development Academy of the Philippines. This week's webinar series is entitled Public Workforce Futureproofing, Elevating Productivity in the New Normal. In the first session yesterday, our resource speaker, Sir Art Florentine, discussed the changes in the current landscape of work, the new competencies it demands, and what we need to do to be future ready. Following that, today's session will be quite different. The resource speaker will teach us and give exercises that we can use to elevate our productivity amidst the challenges we face or that we will face. We would like to acknowledge our viewers all over the Philippines watching us live via Facebook and YouTube. Hello and good afternoon to our participants from Northern Iloilo State University, Leyte State University, Jose Rizal Memorial State University, Commission on Audit, Philippine Ports Authority. We also have viewers from the Department of Trade and Industry, East Avenue Medical Center, University of Makati, PhilHealth Regional Office CAR, Professional Regulations Commission from BARM, Department of Justice, and DSWD Mimaropa. We hope you're all having a good Wednesday afternoon. Before we proceed, we would like to remind our participants that there will be evaluation and exam form at the end of the session, and only those who will pass the exam and accomplish the evaluation for both days 1 and 2 will be granted a certificate of attendance. And now, please allow me to introduce our resource person for the second session, Wellness and Resiliency in the New Era of Work. Our speaker today is a renowned facilitator for coaching and one of the foremost authorities on transformational leadership in the ASEAN region. He is also a life coach and inspirational speaker who has worked extensively with top brands and international entities such as Sun Life Financial, Film Life, USANA Health Sciences, and internationally for the Telecom of Thailand, the Australian Embassy, and Oriflame of Sweden. His highly regarded live broadcasts and podcasts on Spotify and iTunes are followed by thousands around the world. He was a keynote speaker for Social Media Week Manila for 2018 and 2019, and is a contributor for Modern Parenting magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all give a warm welcome to Coach Bam Santiago.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Tessa, for the introduction. Unang-una sa lahat, gusto kong batiin lahat ng nanonood from all over the Philippines. Good afternoon. And I'd also like to greet people who are joining us from abroad as well. How's everyone doing? Please let me know in the comment section. I guess by now, sanay na kayo with all these online interactions. All 300 of you, if you are excited today to learn and you're just in a space of openness, please type excited in the chat box. I'd love to interact with you. And again, the purpose of the whole session today is not just for me to give you more information, kasi madami sa inyo dito you're already watching. And I'm sure with all the trainings, I'm looking at everyone here from all walks of life and different backgrounds. I'm not just here to give you more information, but ang desire ko talaga as an experiential coach. And I can see everyone typing excited, that's great. Ang goal ko dito is to be able to interact with you. I think one of the things that stops us from being productive in life is our lack of connection. Would you agree? Sobrang dami sa atin, we're going through the motions every day of what we need to do, but we forget the very purpose of why we're doing it. So for today, I'd like to do some deep dive experiential exercises. And why am I doing this? parang who among you here, you're watching this and you know how to ride a bike? Anyone here nagbisikleta na, or you know how to ride a bike? Okay. And when you're riding a bike, paano ko ba natuto magbike, di ba? Was it a book that you read on all the mechanics about parts of bicycles, or was it actually you getting on the bike and being pushed at start, having those training wheels, and then falling, and then perhaps crying, di ba? So we learn best experientially. So this has been my experience as well. And I also talk about experiential training because ang dami sa atin, we already have all the information we need. There's a saying actually, and kung makaka-relate kayo dito, type relate. They said here, if how-tos were enough, I mean how-tos, how to have better health, how to have better relationships, how to be happy in life. So there's a saying that goes, if how-tos were enough, we would all be skinny, rich, and happy. But obviously, the struggle continues for many of us. Diba sabi na, bakit ba, coach, I want better life. I want to be happy at work and happy at home. But how come it isn't happening? Well, those are the things that we're going to be talking about today as we go through my process. And again, towards the end, or even as I'm going through my talk, I appreciate all 300 plus of you to start writing down perhaps insights na nakukuha nyo, because I don't want this to merely be 30 to 45 minutes of me talking and then walang takeaway. If there was just one single takeaway that you all have this Wednesday afternoon, that can potentially make your life better, sobrang that will have made my work so worth it. And I can still see you guys are typing in relate, excited. Na-appreciate ko po yung engagement no, because we're already virtually here connected. But mamaya, as we bring up questions, you're going to see how we can connect beyond just the virtual space and really take home lessons that are potentially life-changing. So as we start this afternoon, I'm going to be sharing my screen. And just as a guide lang, just as a guide for us to go through to go through what we have to talk about today. Ano bang gagawin natin? Really, it's a process where I will talk about mindfulness in the workplace. Now, why am I talking about this specifically? Because in the almost 12 years of me working as a seminar facilitator, life coach, trainer of CEOs, and so many companies that some of them were named, I already found a common theme that allows people to be their most productive, highest state of what optimum talent and skill coming out, and it has a lot to do with mindfulness. And i-demystify natin ano ba itong mindfulness na to, bakit to importante. And makikita nyo, those who are watching here, it's going to be a very practical, but not just practical, but also something that you will actually start experiencing as we go through the process today. Not only here, like I said, but also in your everyday life. So a few things before we actually get started, and I'm minding my time because ang challenge ko dito, I usually do like a whole day to 2 days of seminars and talks. Ito medyo limited lang, but let's see how we go today. So a few things to remember here, and I created this ano to, a reminders lang for today that can help you also with the process that we go through. First of all, just remember, forget. I mean, forget what you already know. Some of you are going to be perhaps challenged here with new information, but that's why I say we won't not be just operating in your headspace, but we'll actually start experiencing what it's like through what you're feeling every day. Bakit feeling? Imagine, and there's so many of you from iba-iba, DOH, MMDA, the DepEd, diba? Naramdaman nyo na ba pumasok sa trabaho ng bad trip ka, or you're down, or you're discouraged, or you're going through, I don't know, some challenge na experience na? Yes, type yes if that's you. And what was it like going to work? Diba? So kahit na ang dami mo ng skills and ang dami mo ng knowledge about how to perhaps change that, you're noticing like, coach, bakit ba nahihirapan pa din ako? So it's not just what we already know. So that's why I'm saying here, forget what you already know, but time to start now being open and seeing maybe there are still things here. Thank you, Jane. Maybe there are still things here na hindi ko pa nalalaman about myself. Why? Because if you know it, you don't know it in your mind. Leila, Jericho, but you start applying it in your life. So forget what you already know and be open to just experience the content today. Next is be active. And ito, I won't spend too much time here because almost 350 of you are so active. Al, Mark, salamat. You're already active here. Meron kaming kasabihan sa seminar industry, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're here and you're in this webinar, and you're starting to click, and you're nag-ano kayo, nagpa-participate kayo, I think it's so wonderful, because probably in life you are also participating in this way. So be active. Next is state. State just means watch if bumabagsak na yung energy nyo, just like in work. So many of us don't know, we're already overloaded with the burdens of what? The tasks that we have to do every day. Nakalimutan natin, kaya pala coach, minsan nagagalit na ako or umiinit na yung ulo ko because I'm not even aware of what's happening for me internally. So as we go through the training, make sure that you are watching your state. By the way, I can see all the hearts that you guys are sending. I appreciate it. That I just know that you are here with me. Lastly, is everything that you are going to hear today and experience. I'd love it if you would listen to it as if you were going to teach it to someone, because I'm guaranteeing dun sa circle, wherever you are from all over the Philippines and all over the world, there is one person dito that you can share this content to who will benefit greatly from this. Okay, so if you are okay with this, type agree. And if you're agreeing, let's go straight to the definition of mindfulness. So mindfulness simply means it's a mental state that's achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment. Now, and eto, sobrang hirap nito. That's the basic definition of mindfulness, being aware of your feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations in this present moment. But ang dami sa atin, nahihirapan tayo. Sabi mo, coach, why is it that it's so difficult to be in the present moment? Because for many of us dito, and salamat sa mga nagtatype, Lizette, Hannah, for many of us, we always see the present moment as undesirable. Ulitin ko yun, coach, bakit ang hirap? It's a simple definition, but bakit hindi ba kami makapag-focus just being here now? How many of you na-experience yun, nasa trabaho kayo? And say yes if that's you, nasa trabaho kayo, pero yung isip mo nasa bahay. And then some of you, nasa bahay ka, ang isip mo nasa trabaho. And sabi mo, so you're neither here nor there, nasaan ka? We are caught up in between so many activities and tasks na we start now forgetting what's the most important thing in life, which is what? Being able to savor the present moment, okay? Now, so then we'll see how this will apply again. Paano natin ma-apply itong mindfulness as I go through my content. There's also benefits here, and I'll go through them. Just be with me. We'll go through number 1 first. So, coach, ano bang makukuha namin na benefit dito if we start learning and applying all these things that we're going to talk about? Number 1, improve social relationships. How many of you dito today, you would like to have better relationships? Say yes or type yes. Better relationships. How many of you here today, dalawang kamay na, even if I don't see you, as long as you're not driving, how many of you would like to have better relationships? Dalawang kamay. Yes, right? But the challenge here is, sabi mga coach, I want to have better relationships, but bakit? Parang paulit-ulit yung challenges ko. Number 1 pa lang tayo. How come yung challenges ko, Alma, Kizaya, Ivy, why is it like my challenges are constant? Parang coach, hindi nagbabago. We'll talk a little bit about that today. Number 2, it promotes resiliency, your ability to bounce back from adversity and challenges. So nakikita nyo na, so coach, matutunan ko lang pala tong aspeto ng buhay ko relating to mindfulness. It will help me bounce back from the challenges that I face every single day. Yes, because a lot of you here, hindi ko kayo kilala, but I know this for working for almost 12 years doing this work, that ang dami sa inyo dito, you're already challenged every single day, and you're pushing yourself and pushing yourself, but really, it's such a heavy experience for you, and nahihirapan ka just to keep moving forward each day. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well in terms of a benefit. Number 3, it helps you to approach other people in a more positive manner. Also lessening the negative impact of other people. Now, bakit to? Bakit to importante? Because ang dami ng negative in the world. Would you agree? And I'm just seeing you guys engage, and I really appreciate it. Ang dami ng negative, wag ka na mag-contribute as being one of those people who will be the source of negativity in the world. But what if, ito yung sinasabi ko lagi sa mga talks ko, imagine this, ikaw ba yung tao na pumapasok sa loob ng kwarto, pagpasok mo sa loob ng kwarto, the room brightens up because you're there? Or ikaw ba yung type of person, pag lumabas ka ng kwarto, the room brightens up kasi wala ka na doon. So it's so important to know, what type of person am I? How am I influencing my family? How am I influencing people that I work with? What am I contributing to life, to society, right? And it's so important to be able to understand that. Number 4, enhanced task performance. So I won't spend so much time. This speaks for itself. You just want to be as productive as you can every single day. Number 5, fewer cognitive failures, blunders, distractions, forgetting. Ang dami sa atin, oo nga, nakalimutan ko yan. Oo nga, no, ito yung instructions na dapat kong gawin. Bakit ba, coach, lagi kong nakalimutan? O bakit lagi akong sumasablay? Well, because perhaps you don't know this one thing, which is what we call being in stress mode or emergency mode. Ron and Michael, sabi nila, big check. Why? Ang dami sa atin, we're so stressed out. May mga stress na ba dito? If you experience stress, and stress is okay, short term, pero ang dami sa atin, we're experiencing chronic stress. Ano yung chronic stress? Stress ka na, Ollie, Rona, Michael sa work. Pag uwi mo, stress ka pa. Hindi pa nga yan eh. Meron pang gitna. Pa-commute mo pa uwi, na-stress ka pa. Pag-commute mo, uuwi ka na lang. Stress pa. So you're stressed at work, stressed going home, stressed at home. That's why so many of us feel like we're struggling so much. And I have some visuals later to share that. Number 6, improve intuition. Mas malalaman mo lang how to make your moment-by-moment decisions. And number 7, pinaka-importante, it's my goal before we end today, that ma-reduce yung stress nyo. How many of you would like that? Reduce stress? Again, type yes. We're going to have a lot of positivity this afternoon. By just typing yes, that's what I want. Challenges in the workplace. Ano ba challenge dito? According to a Gallup poll, 15% of full-time workers are only, let me emphasize, only 15% now, Al, Brian, of people in the workplace are engaged, right? That means a staggering 85% of people are not engaged. Bakit? They're unhappy with what they're doing. So tanong ko sa mga nanonood ngayon, you don't have to answer, but just answer silently in your mind. Are you unhappy with what you're doing? Are you just going through the motions of work every day? Pero nararamdaman mo, wala na yung spirit of of joy. And sabi mo, bakit pa importante yan, coach? Well, again, sabi ko sa iyo, naranasan mo na pumasok sa work, and I can see a lot of you saying yes. Naranasan na pumasok sa work, and if there was something that was exciting and happy for you, iba yung dating mo pag nasa trabaho ka, pati iba yung influensya mo sa mga tao sa nakatrabaho mo. But if you're just simply going through the motions of work and you're unhappy and you're not engaged, well, number 1, you're probably dragging your team down. When I say team, that department kung saan ka man naka-assign, your co-workers, but you're also not fulfilling to the highest possible degree yung duties and obligations mo. Why would you want to do that? Diba nga, yung mindset is so important, but why not create a mindset of excellence? Well, because yun nga, we're not, again, going back to the deepest core of bakit ba natin ginagawa yung trabaho natin. For many of us, ito ang itsura natin everyday. May nakaka-relate ba? Sobrang overwhelming demands and pressures. And the truth is, sabi mo, coach, ako yan, guwapo, pero stressed. Or ako yan, maganda, pero nawawala na yung beauty ko dahil what? Sobrang daming demands and stress. Minsan natatawa ka na lang sa sarili mo, right? And for those of you who are happy, that's great. Congratulations. I can see they're saying, yes, I'm happy at work. My hope for you is you get to influence people around you and show them what is it that's making you happy at work, right? We'll talk about that as well. Now, if this is your picture, don't worry. Why? Because ang dami sa atin, there's a lot of challenges at work. Number 1, distractibility. We're distracted by so many things. Family, friends, relationship, lalo na ngayon, di ba? The rising cost of fuel. There's just so many things that's clamoring for your attention. Ang tanong ko dito sa mga nanonood ngayon, almost 400 is what? Who or what has your focus today? Ulitin ko yun, ha? Who or what has your focus today? Is it a positive influence? Or is it 50-50? Or is it a negative influence? So kailangan nyo tanongin yan. It's so important. Number 2, challenge loneliness. Yeah, we're going through the motions, but the truth is, as human beings, ano yung pinakakailangan natin? We need connection. We're literally wired for connection. Now, some of you might say, but coach, introvert ako. Even as introverts, there's a manner or there's a way where you can get energized, not necessarily in big groups, but there's always a connection at work or at home that you will need. Next is what? Negative self-talk and depression. Meron na ba dito? Kung paano ka magsalita tungkol sa sarili mo, very negative. Diba? Ang tanga-tanga ko kasi, ang hina-hina ko kasi, hindi ko talaga kaya. And it's so difficult to be able to live life every single day kung meron tayong negative self-talk and depression. We'll talk about that. Lastly, loss of meaning and purpose in life. Hindi na natin alam, ano ba yung, why am I doing what I'm doing? Sobrang importante malaman to, right? Because why? This will also get you going every day. As a matter of fact, today, sabi mo, coach, I want to be here 100%, but meron voice in my head Pakibasa to, even though I can't hear you. What does it say? You should be working now. And what's the challenge here? Well, the challenge here is for all of us as human beings. Nakalimutan na natin that what as human beings, there's other things that we need in life, which is what um, connection, significance, security, variety, growth, also contribution. Pero hindi na pag-uusapan yan in the workplace. Very, very rarely that it gets talked about. But instead, we now have this parang idea that my role is just simply to work and simply to function every single day and do the job. Yes, that's part of your job, but also never forget you want to be able to do your job in the most optimum way possible. So the question is, so Coach, sige, pinakita mo na sa amin yung challenges in the workplace. Sinabi mo na sa amin, Coach, na oo nga, no, there's very little engagement, 15%, right, in the workplace. So what now? What can we do now? Well, ito importante. First step, please type it in the chat box, is what? Self-awareness. And what do you mean self-awareness? I mean that before anyone in this webinar can change anything in your life, you have to take a step back and literally look at your life. So if you're taking notes here, or if you want to type it in the chat box, take a look at your life in what areas. Number one, health. Number two, your relationships. Number three, your money and career. Number four, your spiritual life. Para basic lang, itong apat na to. What do you mean, Coach? It means, number one, naaalagaan mo pa ba yung sarili mo health-wise? A lot of you are here and you're working and giving so much to provide for yourself, for your families. Pero, Darwin and siya, nakalimutan mo ng alagaan yung sarili mo. Can anyone relate? Type relate if that's you. So creating an awareness of health, of how important it is to take care of you. Number two, relationships. Diba sinabi ko yan? Being able to understand, like, yeah, how are your relationships at home? How are your relationships at work? What's the quality there? It's so important to be honest and say, okay, dito I'm struggling here. Why? Because if you're struggling in one area, I'm guaranteeing you na apektuhan yung ibang area. So si Lizette sabi niya, relate much. So again, taking care and checking on you. Number three, connecting it to work and your money. Some of you here have been working 10 years, some 20, some 30, some 40, some 50 years. But the question is, what's the quality of life that you are enjoying today? Based on what? Based on your standards. If you are still like so many people, it's not a judgment, but if you are still struggling so much in this area of work and finding harmony and peace and also making that living that you want, so very important to ask yourself, why am I still not getting what it is that I want? And the answer for many of us here is, ang dami sa atin, we actually don't know what we want, right? So we'll do an exercise later, provided that time will permit, to see, Coach, paano nga ba namin malaman to? Okay. Next step here is be aware. As we're talking about being aware of yourself, why is it that we're not finding that satisfaction at work and at home? Because for many of us, and again, doing this for so long, ito yung nakikita kong common theme, ang dami natin judgments. Judgments about yourself, judgments about other people, judgments about your family, judgments about life. And then you're wondering, sabi mo, Coach, no wonder my experience every day is heavy. Why? Because it's heavy on judgments. Number two, criticism. At some point, na-criticize mo na yung sarili mo about an inadequacy, or you criticize other people. And why are we talking about this, Che? I'm glad you're saying it's so relatable, because you're trying to create an environment in life that will lead you to productivity and happiness. That's my subtitles. Personal happiness and career success. But it can't happen because nakikriticize ka na ng ibang tao, kinikriticize mo pa yung sarili mo. Nadjudge ka ng ibang tao, ginajudge mo pa yung sarili mo. Plus, pinapasa mo pa to sa iba. So it becomes so difficult. Next is we make a diagnosis of ourselves. Eh, ganito talaga ako, Coach. Matigas talaga ulo ko, Coach. Mahina talaga ako umintindi. And what happens here, please write this down if you are taking notes. When you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. Ulitin ko, when you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. So what limitations are you fighting for to prove to other people na ganyan ka talaga? But is it still helping you? Is it still benefiting you? Lastly, at some level, we can always see what is wrong with ourselves and what is wrong with the world. This is why we're not able to focus, I told you, on the more positive things in life, because nakikita natin lagi kung anong mali natin, right? And etong mga judgment, criticism, diagnosis, i-pile up mo to every single day, Francis, Layla. And what happens again here? It renders you unproductive, and it stops you from just becoming so um, functioning 100%. It renders you out of order. And many of you are here today. I hope you will get value, or you are getting value with this content. Sabi mo, Coach, ako yan. I've been looking for a breather. I've been looking for an opportunity to just pause. Why? A lot of us hindi natin naisip to, di ba? Hataw tayo ng hataw. I have nothing against it. But if the goal here is optimum productivity for yourself, for your team, for the company, or the organizations you represent, then it's so important to be able to pause and to reassess. Otherwise, ano nangyayari? Nakikita mo, out of order ka na. And when you're out of order, I'm almost guaranteeing you're affecting other people in that same way. So what if I could show you, before we start wrapping up later, a way where yung lalaki kanina, di ba, sobrang gulong-gulo na siya. What if you could get into this space of peace and perhaps appreciation and gratitude every single day? Sabi ni Sean, burnout. Yeah. Well, buhusan natin ng tubig yan, Sean. To see like how you can cool down and how you can calm down. And we'll do some exercises later. Personally, attack na daw si John. Sa pool ba lahat, John? True. But this is also my story. Kaya nga, this is why I've dedicated my life today, John and Marlene and Sean, to share this with people, because of the benefits that a lot of people are getting through these exercises and through having an awareness, right? What if ito na kayo, like you're imagining yourself, Coach, whatever challenge I face today, I will be able to handle it. I mean, just say that now. Whatever challenges I face today, I will be able to handle it. Versus what? Dumating yung challenge, nagwawala na tayo, we get angry. Sinong aawayin natin? Who do we blame? Who do we blame? Yeah, physically, mentally drained, sabi ni Alma. And it's also not working for us because we're constantly looking for people to blame. That's why we don't get to this state. So what do we do? And now I'll be giving you some exercises. We start working the mind. So work out for the mind. Sabi mo, Coach, hindi na nga ako nag-workout sa katawan ko, mind pa. Well, here's your reminder today. It's so important, please listen to this, to take care of you. Kung ikaw na mag-alaga sa sarili mo, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. So what's one thing that I'll ask you to do this afternoon? Para I still have time for your Q&A. Everyone, if you have a notebook, I would love that you write this down. We'll do an exercise on gratitude. Okay, I'll hold time here. I want you to take out your notebooks. If you have your notebooks, or if mabilis ka mag-type, you can type it in. I wonder what it would be like to pause today. And as you pause, to actually start thinking and focus on what? On everything that you are grateful for. By the way, congratulations sa inyo, almost 450 of you here. Bakit? You went through such a difficult time in your life, which is what? 2 years of being locked down. 2 years of the pandemic. 2 years of being so scared na magkasakit ka, or ikaw makapagbigay ng sakit sa mga taong mahal mo. And I just want to honor and congratulate each and every person na nandito. So for this exercise, what are you grateful for today? I'd like you to write that down on your notebooks. I'll give you time. And I'll just speak over itong visual na to. Some of you, please start writing. Some of you are writing, Coach, I'm grateful to still be alive. Coach, I'm grateful for the work that I still have. You can type it in if you don't have a notebook. Coach, I'm grateful that today nakakain pa ako. Today, I'm grateful that I saw the sunshine. Today, I'm grateful that I'm able to drive to work, to commute to work. Today, I'm grateful that I have colleagues na hindi ko napapansin before who actually have helped me through the most difficult time in my life. What are you grateful for today? And as some of you are doing this exercise, as you're writing, sabi mo, Coach, I'm starting to feel something different. Sabi ni Charmaine, I'm grateful for everything God has given me, for my kind hubby, for a healthy family to have means to survive. This is great. As tinatype nyo, anong nangyayari sa chat ngayon? You're creating an energy of positivity. And some of you will say, Coach, I don't believe in positivity. Well, try negativity for one day. Try mo maging, I am angry because, boysito. And what will happen to you? You're going to be depressed within one day, guaranteed. But tinitingnan ko ngayon, I'm grateful to witness God's creation, living and not merely existing. We are alive, for having a loving family. Now you start shifting this. But imagine this. What if itong mga tinatype nyo, itong sinusulat nyo, what if you could bring that state of gratitude to your family? Sabi mo, nga, no, Coach, sa totoo lang, automatic kami, pag uwi, maybe we just watch something kasi pagod na ako. what if you could bring that state of gratitude to work every day? How would you start behaving differently? It will be different. Martin says, I'm grateful for my health, for life. Royce and Martin are here. Grateful for a happy family. Eto lang yun eh. So coach, one of the biggest gaps pala is what? Yeah, we've been complaining so much. May nakarelate? We're complaining the moment we wake up, complaining throughout the day, complaining pag uwi sa bahay, complaining pag tulog. And then you're wondering why life isn't getting better. So gratitude, why? I'll read this because it's not happiness that brings us gratitude. It's gratitude that brings us happiness. But coach, kung alam mo lang yung story ko, kung gaano kahirap yung pinagdaanan ko sa work, the pressure, I understand. Not the way you do, but I would say, first of all, take a deep breath. Everyone take a breath. And despite the challenges that you're going through in life, then I'll say, what can you see there as an opportunity for you to grow? Ulitin ko they're going through challenges in life, but what could you see there as opportunities to grow and not opportunities to curse? There's something in your life today, and I can feel it. You guys can already feel, tignan niyo yung chat, look at everyone typing the gratitude. But what if this becomes a culture for you at home and at work, where you're talking about all the things that's bringing you joy and gratitude, okay? Then what will happen here next is for you to start creating a compelling vision. Ano ibig sabihin nito? I know without even having to ask you, tinitignan ko lang yung comments so that you like this exercise. But for many of us, this is just one webinar. Ang pinaka-importante dito, what happens after Kate, GL, Lai, Tess. What's important here is what is your overall life vision. So because of time, I'm just going to ask you really quick. What is the ultimate goal for your life? I want you to think about it more now before you type it or you write it. What is the ultimate goal? As an example, maybe you can answer, Coach, the ultimate goal for me is to experience joy, love, peace, and happiness and abundance. Okay, sinummarize ko lang, joy, peace, love, happiness, and abundance in every area of my life. Not just with money, Coach, but also with relationships. How many of you would like that? Not just with relationships, but also, Coach, with experiences. But ang dami sa atin, we're going through life, Beryl, Melanie, Dory, we're going through life, but wala tayong picture of what the end result or the outcome that we want in life. Narinig yun na diba yung Harvard study, diba? Where they, a class wrote down what their life vision was, what their goals were, and a huge percentage of them were able to achieve that. Yung mga nagsulat, but those who did not, they were not as quote unquote successful. So they said here to be happy, to be peace of mind, to be happy always, yes. But, di ba, ang daming challenges. Coach, simple lang na. Gusto ko maging masaya. Ba't hindi ka masaya? Coach, kasi ito ang dami na natin obstacles and challenges that are popping up for us. But if you today, before I go to the Q&A, create a compelling vision for your life, to touch lives, peace of mind, and every day to look at that and to see it, I'm guaranteeing you, magbabago yung trajectory ng buhay nyo. Because it not only has happened for me, but to so many people all over the world, diba? Everything begins with, again, gratitude and having a vision. So what's something that we can parang digest here? You want to set a goal that is big enough that in the process of achieving it, to become someone worth becoming. Ano ibig sabihin nito? Coach, hindi ko na-achieve yung goal ko. Coach, hindi ko naman nakuha yung vision ko. Yeah, but Annie, but Joanne, have you grown? Nag-grow ka ba as a human being? Anong skills? Anong wisdom ang nakuha mo in the process of you? Look at this road. Nakita niyo yung visual? There's a road. But within this road, as you're traveling towards that vision of being of service to others, etc., etc., how are you growing? How are you learning? How are you becoming a better human being? So if you're taking notes, write that down. How am I growing? How am I becoming a better human being? Madami sa atin sobrang naka-attach tayo sa goals, sa vision, 'di ba? Na nang lalamang na tayo sa ibang tao, nananakit na tayo ng ibang tao, we're doing things that are already hurtful and harmful. Sabi natin, basta end goal. No, it's not about that. It's about the journey also. Don't ever forget about the journey. Ang dami sa atin nga, balik tayo sa kanina, you're not enjoying the journey because there's just so much focus on the future instead of focusing on what? Look at this. Take a deep breath. Look at this. Now, what can I focus on now? Wherever you are here in the Philippines or all over the world watching this, sabi mo, well, now I have this webinar. Now I can focus here. Now I can engage. And then later, what else can you engage in later? Oh, later I have work, coach. Then focus 100% of your energy and your effort there. And then later I'll spend time with my family. Then you focus on that because you're always focusing on the present moment, right? So ang example ko dito as I wrap this up is what? Ano daw yung purpose of washing dishes? And I'll ask this to everyone. Anong purpose ng paghuhugas ng plato? Okay, I know the answers will say, you will say, oh, coach, para malinis, kasi para hindi tumambak, para hindi madumi dito. But actually, the very purpose of washing the dishes is just the action of washing the dishes. Ibig sabihin ko ano man yung ginagawa mo, don't think that I have to finish this para tapos na. But what if you could just enjoy the task that you're doing? Lahat ng bagay, pagwawalis, pagpupunta sa trabaho, pag-aayos ng sarili, what if I could just be in that present moment and enjoy the very task that I'm doing? So something to think about as I wrap this up. Last thing also, there's a few more, but ito importante also, be aware of the judgments you have of yourself. Pag naging klaro kayo lahat dito on how you are judging yourself, the quality of your work, how you are also as a parent, anyone here, mga magulang, and there's so much judgment that you have of yourself for not being a perfect parent. Sabi mo, coach, ba't natin pinag-uusapan to? Because it affects your work. I've worked long, again, I've been here long enough to see the quality of what the work is affected. Why? Because dala-dala mo yung stress of the home to your work environment, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not. Okay? So another thing that you can start applying here, aside from listening about your judgment, make sure, ito na yung mga practical steps that you guys can do to start applying all of these things that I'm sharing this afternoon. Make sure that you are surrounded by a team of people who will celebrate with you when you are succeeding, who will push you to become the best version of yourself. Ulitin ko Rowena, make sure you are surrounded by people who want to see you winning and who will push you to become the best version of yourself. Mag-ingat kayo dito. Always watch your space. You might be surrounding yourselves with people who are dragging you down. May nakaka-relate? Diba? Coach, yung pala yun, everyday akala ko okay ako. No. Everyday you're surrounding yourself with people who are actually limiting your growth. Bakit? May chismis, may intriga, then find a new reference group. Because diba sabi nga you're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with. So important. Lastly, we'll do this exercise as we end and as I go to Q&A. Find some time to get in the gap and meditate. Pakisulat yan, meditate. I did this, I went through this course from Google called Search Inside Yourself kasi nag-conduct sila ng study to find out, coach, what makes the most effective work teams, the most productive teams, yung pinakamagandang teamwork, ano ba yan? And they came up with 5 things, but I talk about the first thing that they came up with, which is a term called psychological safety. Psychological safety simply means that you get to make mistakes and you get to be open in your work environment without the fear of being ridiculed. Pagtatawanan ka dahil nagkamali ka, or i-criticize ka dahil nagkamali ka or nagtanong ka. If you can create that environment where you're already so much ahead. And what can help you there is, again, a practice of meditation. Bakit? Because when you are meditating, you are silencing your mind. It could be prayer, whatever will work for you. But maghanap kayo ng very high achieving people in entrepreneurs or people in the workspace. They have some form of mindfulness exercise. So meditating, paano to? You can start with a few minutes. You can work to 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Why? It will quiet your mind. Importante ba yan, Eunice, Rene, Michael? Yes, because napakaingay na ng mundo. But if you can quiet your mind, now you start creating space so that you are no longer reactive to the world, but you are being able to respond the way you want to respond. According to the Institute of Heart Math, pati yung heart rhythm mo, if stressed ka, it leads to disease, because hindi mo alam na every day you are bombarded with so much negativity and challenges and distraction. But when you start creating a practice of meditation and breathing, it shifts you from frustration to appreciation. How many of you appreciate being here today? Type me, M-E. So just to show that, yeah, coach, I appreciate being here today and I'm happy I showed up here today. So I'll just share a quick screen if you would like to get in touch with me. You'd like to inquire more about processes that we do. And then basically we're going to end with a quick visualization process, then I'll go to Q&A. So everyone, take a deep breath. And as you close your eyes, again, if you're not driving, mabilis lang to, then we'll go to Q&A. I want you to imagine this process that we went through. Parang one whole day tayong magkasama, but it was just like 30, 40 minutes. And as you close your eyes, I'd like you to focus on that one thing that struck you today. What was that one thing that you felt helped you a lot? What was that one thing that you resonated? Sabi mo, Coach, that's me. Coach, I would like to experience more of that in my life or for my team. I'd like you to focus that. And as you're focusing on that, imagine whatever that positive or good thing is that you want to focus on. Imagine being able to bring that to your family as well. So now you're experiencing both workplace harmony, but also home and family harmony. And as you close your eyes, take a deep breath, feeling all that gratitude, love, and appreciation in your life. Take a deep breath. And my prayer is, Lord, lahat ng nakuha nilang magaganda, may they be able to bring it to their workplace today and to their families. Maraming salamat, King. Talagang sabi niya, me. So maraming salamat, and we pray this all. Amen. So palakpakan natin lahat if you're okay to clap. So Michael, salamat, me, Rowena, me. Yeah, I want to spend some time, if we can have some time for Q&A. I'd love to hear from you if you have questions, concerns. We can do a quick coaching interaction today as I end my share screen. Sige, anyone here? So I'll pass it back to Tessa. Thank you, Tessa.
Yes, sir. So thank you for the inspiring, relatable, and beneficial presentation, Coach Bam. It not only informed us, but inspired and motivated us to include mindfulness as a priority in our daily life.
Right. I can see that sa face mo, Tessa. Yun ang maganda eh. There's direct feedback that you can see how you're affecting people. Yes. Look at that smile. So thank you, thank you, Tessa.
So as we feel more relaxed, so ako sir ang magtatanong ng mga questions that we have from our live audience. All right.
Sure.
So the first one is we have from Mr. Andrew de Los Angeles. He's watching from YouTube. How do you differentiate self-awareness from self-indulgence?
Sige. So wow, that's a great question. I would say my short answer there is self-indulgence usually comes from the ego, if we really dive into it. Ano yung ego? Anything that will bring pleasure to you without minding what contributes to your well-being and to the well-being of other people. Usually that's self-indulgence. But an awareness creates a gap between you and the actions that we take, and you're actually able to breathe through that gap and start having an awareness of how your specific actions will harm you or how specific actions will be good for you. So one is unconscious. The other one, there's a consciousness that you bring. So malalim yung question. So thank you for that. I hope that answered shortly. Yeah.
Right. So our next question is because we're talking about the public sector. So this is from Jenny from Cavite. So she said that civil servants are often expected to work long hours to meet our targets. So this is very relatable. How can our managers help staff mitigate the mental health risks of overwork?
Oh wow!
If you can comment, sir.
Do we have 2 hours para pag-usapan to? No, that's such an important concern that so many people, when I do my work, that's always brought up eh. Ako number one, again, short answers lang dito. Number one is communication. Being able to communicate that clearly that hey, there's challenges here that may be beyond what we can actually handle. But yun nga, also it's tricky, Tessa, kasi not everyone will be working with people who might have compassion. So we call this compassionate leadership. Compassionate leadership is, yeah, I want a certain result. I'm demanding it of my team, but I also have to understand how I can, again, get my team to become the most productive and the most efficient. So sometimes iniisip natin, hindi basta yan yung deadline at yung kailangan nyo gawin nyo. When it's counterproductive. So I thought this is the better answer, education. Having seminars like what you guys are doing to just educate people, hey, there's a new way of doing it. You know, if you're not already doing it, yung todo hataw, it's not as effective as people think. There's a different way that you can do it. So education, communication.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's go ahead and let's go ahead for our next question. Um, how does micromanagement play into the risks to mental health?
I'm not sure I
Usually,
understand the
so
question.
usually because sir, when it comes to the public sector, most of the management are do micromanagement. So,
Mhm.
in your opinion, how does it play into the risks to the mental health of the employees?
Well, again, off the top of my mind, um, it's so important to be able to allow people that are under you, people that you're managing, people that you're handling. It's so important to bring this one aspect, which is what trust. But trust comes with responsibility. For me to trust people, so that I don't step into micromanaging. Again, it's complicated to give simple answers today.
Mm-hmm.
Madaming factors yan as
Understand,
psychological
sir.
factors,
Mm-hmm.
my need to control, my need for a certain output. Parang ako na lang gumawa, umalis ka na lang dyan, ako na lang. Para ma-sure ako. But again,
Yes.
that
Mm-hmm.
is also taking away people's the trust from people that they are capable of doing it. So a mindset shift is in order within that context of work. Ano yung mindset shift? Seeing that people are capable. But for that to happen, you also have to make sure there's another aspect here, responsibility. Before I can leave you to do the work that I know you can fully well can handle, I have to make sure that all the instructions are very clear, but also all the processes that are also very clear. And I constantly do feedback. So laging may feedback loop yan para hindi ka naman micromanage ng matagal because there's a feedback loop that's constantly happening where you can assess. Minsan kasi wala eh. Bibigyan ka ng
Correct.
task and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Wala nang
Yes.
feedback and then I'll just take over because you're not doing it excellently. So there's got to be a constant feedback loop and again, constant communication.
It's important. All
Sige.
right. So we're still, since you mentioned psychologically safe work environment, Coach Bam, how can we create a psychologically safe work environment? What's the first step that
Okay.
are
So it's very difficult kasi human nature, automatic sa atin Tessa mag-blame, automatic sa atin manisi.
yes? Uh-huh.
because
Correct.
because we don't want to say, oh, for example na, oh, palpak yung webinar, o sino, ikaw kasi. So again, it's so automatic where you're smiling. You're like, coach, if you only knew the stresses that we're going through. Yeah, but there is a way to be able to go through it. And again, going through, not to be directly answered here kasi it's a process but to go through a process of self-awareness, not just for you, but for the whole team, the whole organization, and to be aware of what? To be aware that you might have already created a toxic work environment. And that's okay. Not to judge you as the leader, but to say, hey, there's a way that we can do it differently. Otherwise, what's the price to pay? The price to pay will be yung toxic environment where we're just going into the middle of the year. It'll last till end of the year, till December. It's like, Coach, ayaw na namin ng toxic. Yeah, but we have to bring an awareness there. And again, ito yung malaking gap sa atin especially in the Philippines, our lack of communication. But not just that, number two, magko-communicate tayo, Tessa. But pag nag-communicate tayo, makarelate yung nanonood. Pero coach, nag-communicate ako, nagagalit no-offend, nasasaktan. So
Mm-hmm.
coach, tahimik na lang ako, tahimik ka, nagpa-pile up naman yung sama ng loob mo. So we have to do process. We have to do process. And the process gets very personal because a lot of the way we work is connected to our programming, how we were raised, how we see the world. So yeah, it's possible, but there's work to be done to create that psychological safe space.
So
Yeah,
self-awareness is really crucial for this one. All
super.
right. Yes. All right. We have a question from YouTube again from Miss Marilee Goris. Coach Bam, how to focus again if you have a lot of distractions getting into your goal?
Yeah. How to focus again? Well,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, kanina, have a practice of mindfulness. Meditation will help you just quiet your mind. When you are distracted, it just means again, the term that I use is autopilot. You're on autopilot. Pag autopilot ka, nag-react ka sa lahat ng environment mo eh. Too many demands, the kids, the work, the trips, the adjustments of new policies. But when you're breathing and you're closing your eyes and you're going through a process of meditation, it creates a gap. And the gap will now, what will that do, coach? It will allow you to focus on the things that are that are your priorities or that are
Right.
important in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Mapaprioritize mo yan. If you're not prioritizing, it just means you've let other people's power overtake you, and you will feel like a victim of the world.
Correct.
So that's so
Mm-hmm.
important para hindi ka ma-overwhelm. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So our next question, there are a lot of questions actually coming in just right now. Okay, from Mr. Algerald Barde. So he said, thank you, coach. What are
Thank you,
some
Al.
other easy to follow techniques to practice mindfulness? So you introduced a one earlier, but do you have another technique that you can share with us to practice mindfulness?
Yeah, for me, what's very powerful, Al, is taking deep breaths. So, ang dami sa atin, and you're watching this, you're like, Coach, we're so stressed at work. Yeah, because you're not breathing in the most optimum way. Ganun ka simple, Al. If you breathe in through
Mhm.
your nose, you can try that now, everyone. If you breathe in through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Look, you're smiling, Tess. See, yun lang eh. So, coach, and I've done this physiologically, yung mga tao who are stressed, Tessa, they're breathing sa chest and handa silang makipag-away, makipaglaban. They're not calm eh. So,
Mhm.
a very powerful mindfulness tool that you can use is just breathing. When you hear bad news, diba, we're so reactive. Or
Mhm.
ito na naman, may bago na naman kailangan. Mag-react na naman tayo. But if you're practicing breathing the whole time, you're going to notice you shut off the fight or flight response, and become a little bit more calm, and life does not seem so overwhelming. I mean, you feel my energy now, I'm trying to tell almost 500 of
Mhm.
you. Then life will calm down for you, but it's something that you have to take note of. Papansinin mo din yan around you, Tessa. If you notice people are not breathing deeply, and then no wonder there's stress. No wonder there's that part now. But you have to catch it. And don't beat yourself up, Al, when you don't get to do all these mindfulness exercises. I've been doing this for so long and I'm still working at it until now.
Yes.
Right? It's
Mhm.
constant work. Yeah.
So remember, taking a deep breath when you're in a stressful situation. All right. Okay. For our next question, this is from Mr. Edbert B. Sullivan from Facebook. Um, Relating to our previous question, how can you be positive when all else are negative? And the person you look up to is full of negativity. So, for negative to Coach Bang, ano daw ang gagawin niya?
Well, I thought, see, what's his name? What was his name?
Sorry, Edbert Sullivan.
Edbert.
Sir
Yeah,
Edbert.
ako, Edbert, try this out. And those who are here and sabi mo, Coach, yeah, lahat negative, lahat negative. Um, Write this down if you're taking notes, Edbert. When you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at changes. And I don't want to try to sound mystical, but ibig sabihin nito, if I see the world and people around me as my enemy, as negative, then I would experience them as negative as my enemy. Diba? Boss mo, papasok pa lang, sabi, ito na naman yung boss ko na. And meron ka ng judgment sa kanya eh. So there's not going to be an experience where you will see them differently and it'll just keep appearing as negative. Why? Because your mind will always try to prove that you're right. Tama kasi, ano talaga, hindi talaga siya mabait na tao. See, tama tayo, di ba? Masungit siya talaga. But then, ikaw din sa stress ka. But if you just change it, change the way that you see yourself and the way you see your world. Di ba? Einstein asked that eh. The most important question you can ask yourself is this a friendly universe? Because you, Coach, anong sagot doon? But tignan mo yung buhay mo. Does it seem like it's friendly? Coach, hindi. Well, you have a perception that you're supposed to be attacked, people will hurt you, life is supposed to be difficult, but at birth, it can change. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think there are a lot of questions about toxic bosses about that. So I think Coach Bam already covered that. I think we're down to our last two questions for today. We have, let's answer this one from Mr. Mel Greg Concepcion and Miss Mildred Servito. It's almost the same question, sir. Parang maaari po bang i-include sa type of service ng public sector ang mental health through spiritual growth? For example, group discussion about eternal things or individual meditation of the Word of God.
Yeah. Sa akin, that's something that you're going to have to decide again as per your organization or your group. What's okay to talk about. But ako, I'd be very careful about discussing ideologies because pwede mag-clash eh. But instead, I would talk about values instead. And I would also talk about, make it very down to earth. Ang tawag dyan, kamustahin mo lang yung tao. Tessa, kamusta ka? And then
Yes.
you provide a structure. O ano ibig sabihin? Because di ba, madami sa atin, you're watching this, pag kinakamusta ka, kahit stress ka, pagod na pagod ka, pag kinamusta ka, Tessa, kamusta ka? Okay lang. But the truth is, we're not okay. But we
Mhm.
cannot, but there's no other way we can answer, Mel, because hindi pa tayo naka-create ng structure. We call this actually clearing the space. If I'm, and psychological safety is connected to this. If I can get to a space before we do the meeting, before I get to work, where I can clear the energy, not talk about it long, not to create a story, but at least ma-dump ko lang yung energy that I'm bringing. It leads to greater productivity, better teamwork, higher output, within teams. But wala pang structure na ganun eh. I mean, that's why I do the work that I do, to let people know, hey, it's okay. But mapapansin mo, wow, my energy is shifting. Yeah, because you already created a structure where you can talk about things, values,
Mhm.
leadership principles that will help you. So yeah.
All right. Okay. So I think we have time still for our, this is our last question for this afternoon. What would you suggest, or like a program or a system to institutional leaders to maintain psychological safety in the workplace, to maintain productivity? So,
Yeah,
Coach.
great question. Great last question. To create a structure where people can meet at least
Mm-hmm.
once a week, even for
Yes.
just an hour. And anong pinag-uusapan doon? Pag-uusapan doon, we call these check-ins, checking in on how people are doing as human beings. Just an hour, you'll be surprised at the change of the morale within your team. Again, productivity. Makamusta lang yung tao, but that has to be a structure. People think normally like, no, work to, hindi connected yun, but si Tom Rath, one of my favorite authors, wrote about this, and they did a Gallup study on this, where there is uh, really virtually no distinction between work and home life. They're interconnected eh. So to be able to create that structure once a week, as an example lang where people can have that space to air out and to talk, malaking impact for your team. But no, we don't do that. What we do is Monday to Saturday is work, 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 and then konting karaoke kapag may bonding, and then work, work, work. But being able to ask Tessa, how are you doing? And then having Tessa have a structure of what she could share, and then going to other people, so on and so forth. Ang laking load of weight that can be taken out, but also how they can again lead to more productivity and greater joy doing the work. So there's got to be a structure that's put in that's different from what people are already doing now.
Yes, so just 1 hour
Yeah,
in the workplace. All
yeah.
right. I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. But do you have like your final message for our audience, Coach Bam?
Yeah. Thank you again for inviting me here to talk. I had fun. I love sa lahat na nag-engage ngayong hapon sa Facebook, YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you for commenting. Last year is message is, yeah, it's okay to go through challenges. It's okay to lose it once in a while, but it's not okay to stay that way forever. So there's support. You know, life can get better at work and at home, guaranteed, but there will be work that has to be done. But life can get better. So for whoever is in a challenging time right now at work and at home, it can get better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach Bam, for that inspiring presentation. Again, we're very grateful for you, for being with us today. Okay,
Thank you.
for a few announcements, for more learning resources, you may like our official Facebook page at www.fb.com/APOCOEPSP, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, COEPSP. To those who were not able to accomplish the evaluation form and exam for day one, that's yesterday, links to the evaluation and exam for both days are pinned in the comments section of our social media accounts. We remind all participants that in order to be granted an e-certificate, you must accomplish all the evaluation forms and pass all the post-tests. Thank you very much for your support, and see you all in our next webinar. Enjoy the rest of your day.